Right, so we're here with Josh, and before we get into your story, you've got a southern accent. How did you find yourself in Newcastle?
So I've been a Newcastle fan for 20 plus years. I've had a season ticket at the club for 18. I'm sure this is my 18th season, and I fell in love with them as a young boy. A certain Mr. Shearer sort of grabbed my heart, and the fan base and just everything about the club being a family just sort of resonated with me, and I fell in love with them. There's so many teams in London, and you can't really choose, but here there's one team, and that sort of just appealed to me, and I fell in love with the black and whites, and here I am, 35 years old, living here and living myself as a little lad's dream.
Yeah, and now you get to work with the Newcastle badge on your thing. You've literally just finished your walk very recently from Wembley to St James's Park. Why have you done that? And it seems, I don't mean to speak out of context, but it sounds like an Olympian sort of effort. You're just a regular guy. What kind of give you the thing to do that?
It was ridiculous. I should never have done it, but I did it. So the idea behind it was, when you suffer with mental health issues, you've got this block in your head where you can't necessarily get your words out, get your feelings out and explain what's going on. So I try to use a physical challenge to show what people suffering mental health might go through. And I've put it upon myself to think of the most ridiculous challenge that I could think of, to put my body under the most physical deprivation that I could. And walking that amount of miles in that amount of days, yeah, it took slightly longer than I originally wanted it to, but we still smashed it. And it was just sort of trying to show people that's the physical side of what goes on in someone's head when they're suffering with their mental health. Obviously, mental health is a balance. It's not always about the negative side, it's about the positive side as well. And I try to use that positive experience of doing the walk and the glitz that you get when you finish your walk to show, look, this is the impact that positivity can have on your mental health. So it's trying to show the balance between the two lines of, this is the physical impact of someone that's struggling with their mental health, where my feet weren't working properly, I've still got injuries now a few weeks later, you don't want to see my toes, they're absolutely off the record, like they're disgusting. But that's trying to show people what you go through inside your head. Like, I've suffered with my mental health really deeply, and I could never put into words exactly what I was feeling, and by doing this it was showing the physical side of it and just trying to give people that image rather than a picture or someone explaining it. It's the physicality of, yeah, this was really tough, but imagine what's going on inside my head when I'm having an episode.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on their mental health. I mean, it's something that was kind of swept under the carpet a fair few years ago, men's mental health. It's coming to the front a little bit more. A bit more discussions are happening, a bit more normalisation. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's the case?
Definitely. It's definitely improved, especially in the North East. We're obviously seeing it a lot more. And a lot more men are open and willing to sort of have that first conversation and talk about the mental health. I've never been shy. I'm more than willing to sort of share my story with people, let them know the depths that I went to, how close I was to ending my own life, just to try and make people aware that it's okay to talk about it. It doesn't need to constantly be a taboo subject, and it doesn't need to be forgotten about by people, because that's the thing. A lot of people, they'll have maybe an episode where their mental health's bad and then they'll brush it under the carpet. If we can encourage people to talk about it and get their feelings out there and sharing with their friends are then more likely to open up and talk to them. And that's something we're noticing up here with the work we're doing at the campaign, at the foundation around the Be a Game Changer campaign. It's encouraging so many men to open up and speak, and we're seeing a massive influx of people wanting to be part of the campaign and sharing that message.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there the attempted suicide you kind of had earlier in your life. What kind of led you up to that point, if you don't mind us asking, and then kind of what happened after that?
So I've suffered with my mental health since I was a teenager, and I didn't realise how bad my suffering was until I actually moved up here. So I'd separated myself from my family, my friends, but I'd come to a city that I'd always felt was home. For me, it wasn't the move, it was the separation from people that obviously I love and had my back, and that led to me thinking I'm not enough. I'd had a job that I'd been promised before I moved up here that fell through, and then another job that I interviewed really well for fell through, and then I found myself on the edge of a train bridge. I found myself doing really silly things. I found myself lying to my partner and to my kids, and that just led to me attempting to take my own life on more than one occasion. Luckily now I look back and I take the silver linings out of everything. So the fact I'm sitting here and I've managed to do what I've done for the foundation and for the Be a Game Changer campaign, it's fantastic. But mental health doesn't go away. I still have thoughts, not necessarily as in-depth as suicidal, but I still struggle with my mental health here and there. And the road that led to me attempting suicide the first time, was just a build-up of everything. And it's that thought inside your head that you're not enough. I'm not enough for my family, where in reality I was. And I was delivering and I was making sure they were safe. But in making sure they were safe, I was depriving myself of what I needed. And it's a lot in mental health journeys is trying to make people understand you have to look after you. You have to be number one regardless. And realising that is the first step where you can then sort of take the steps to having a healthier mental health balance.
I mean, you're not the only case of this. It's shocking statistics, especially for men's suicide, men's mental health. For those kind of going through it, what was the kind of thing that got you away from that, and how do you manage going forward from that?
So for me, I fell into a program that we run at the foundation called the 12-Man program, and that led to me sort of realising how in depth my mental health issues were, and taking that step back and sharing my story with friends and family made me realise, wait a minute, I'm not alone. I can get through this. And with the help of the foundation, signposting me to the right places and making some really solid friends at the foundation, that helped sort of shape who I am now, and helped me realise that by speaking out and encouraging people to talk about mental health helps my mental health. And it's an ongoing journey where I'm sort of like, I'll encourage you, but at the same time I might then step back because my mental health's struggling. But that's just my journey where I'm still learning, and it's an ongoing journey. And I think a lot of people use the word recovery. There's, for me, and my point of view, and from where I've been, there's no definitive recovery goal. It's positive mental health and keeping that as a positive all the way through. You might have negative mental health days, but that doesn't mean your mental health's completely dropped off. So for me, it was a whole speaking aspect and getting my voice heard, and actually realising that I resonate with people, and there's men going through the same stuff as me, and there's women going through the same stuff as me, and it's finding that balance of getting it out there and sharing and getting the right help. I was lucky, I found the right doctor, I found the right service for me. It took a long time. I'd never sugarcoat that. It took years to find the right people, but I did. And now I am where I am because of the fact that I got the right support, the right people, the right medication for me. Medication helped. And it's just an ongoing journey now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that it's well known that does help is get men talking and get anyone talking who's going through it. It is slightly difficult for men, so a proportion of men, to talk about things like this. What would your advice be for someone who is going through it and unable to talk, and then also maybe from a friend's perspective, if you see a friend struggling or something, how would you approach that as well?
So as someone who is struggling, it really is about digging deep and finding the right service for you. So now we're absolutely blessed that we've got tech services, there's web services, there's telephone services where you can just talk at someone. I wish we'd had that back when I was younger, because that's what I needed. I didn't want to talk to people. If you can find that strength to send that first text, to shout are magnificent. If you can send that first text and they just text you back, and it's completely impersonal, it's anonymous. You don't have to give them any information, you can just have a chat with them. If you've got that strength from there, can you take the next step and have that conversation with your friend, with your doctor, with your family? And that's how it sort of snowballs, so you can get to a position where you're comfortable to talk about what you're going through. Doctors are there for a reason, and they're trained. You might not always find the nicest one. I've been there. I've had some awful doctors. I've had some brilliant doctors. I found the one brilliant doctor who then left my service, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I stayed friends with him. He's been magnificent for me. You will find that person. It might take a lot of digging, but you will. For me, it took a long time. For friends I know, it's taken even longer, or it's taken a really short time. It's about building up the courage within. To explain it, it's like a fire building. So you might have the embers, and then you'll build up a little bit of bottle, and you'll send a text. And then you might accept the phone call, and then you might ring the doctors, and then you might move on and have that chat with your friend. It's about building it up slowly. I know for me, when I first started struggling, I just went full and kicked everything out there, and was sort of like getting all these weird looks, and you'd be like, well, come on. I'm spilling my soul out, but I didn't realise the impact that might have. So it's building up slowly is the best advice I could give in terms of that, is finding your person. Once you've got that person, they won't leave your side, and they'll share with you. And it's a balance. It's finding that friendship that works. In terms of you looking out for people, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions either, because you'll be surprised what answers you'll get. And I know we use a lot of things at the foundation, especially around the Be a Game Changer campaign, where we use Ask Twice, where a lot of people work in offices or supermarkets or out on the street, and they might go, hello mate, you all right? That'd be the end of the conversation, because how many times do you just go, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good. and that's it. Ask twice, because you'll be able to tell if someone's a bit down in the dumps. If you know that peer, you'll be able to tell, and it's about forcing that conversation from them and making them come out and share what they're feeling. They might not go in depth the first time, but the second time they might, the third time they will, the fourth time you're having a full-blown conversation, and it's about taking those steps and just making it work.
Yeah, I mean, the ask twice thing, it's so simple in theory. People do just brush the first thing away like, oh yes, I'm all right, exactly like you say. So thank you very much for opening up and talking about that. I'm sure a lot of people who watch will be going through stuff like that, their own struggles and stuff. So it's great to kind of get there. Going back to the amazing fundraiser that you did, how much training did you do for that, and what were some of the most challenging moments as well on the walk?
So in terms of training, we trained probably for 6 months, give or take, and we just sort of increased our mileage over time and then started to drop it back as we got nearer to the walk. The most we did in a day training was about 45, 46 miles. So we never quite hit the 50, but that was walking for long periods of time. You're trying to build up your feet, you're trying to make them more robust and used to walking that amount of miles, walking for that amount of time, because it was the time that sort of got to you the most, because you'd be walking and walking and walking and walking. But we got there and we planned this walk to a T. We knew what we were doing, but it still doesn't give you what you need. Once you start that walk, all that training's in the back of your mind, because you might come up against a road closure where you've then got to change your route and you need to work out where you're going. You might come up against rain. Like, we had heat. We had southern heat as well, so it's a completely different thing to northern heat. That battered us for the first 2 days. And to walk that amount of miles in that heat is exhausting. Luckily, we were clever. We stayed hydrated, we stayed fed, but we didn't really stop. So we continuously were walking. We'd have little periods when we might need to change our shoes, we might need to dispose of the socks, because, yeah, won't get into that, it's disgusting. And it's just about keeping yourself mentally strong, having those chats, having conversations, smiling at people. I'm a singer. I'm singing away. I've got headphones in, and I'm singing away. Like, Stormzy got me through most of that walk, and it's a mental, physical, emotional battle with yourself, and it was one I didn't want to lose, and it was one that I wanted to sort of prove to people who said you can't do it, that I can do it. Did I nearly quit? Yes, a few times, because it was awful. I didn't. I missed my kids, I missed my missus, I missed my family. You can't be on your phone all day, because you need to concentrate. The physicality of it, I'm still carrying injuries now. I've done my Achilles, I've got a bit of tendonitis. The toes are a different story. But it's one I wouldn't take back. Like, would I ever do it again? No, because it was horrendous. But the buzz I got from doing it and finishing, getting back to St James's Park, and that euphoria was amazing. And that was just, not even for me, I wanted to do it for this campaign that saved my life. And I wanted to make people aware of what this campaign was and what we've done. And it is life-saving. I'm the proof. It's not just something we put on to our slogan or we say to people. It genuinely is. And it was sort of saying to people, we're the foundation. We're the Be a Game Change campaign. I've done this walk to try and raise awareness. The money was a separate side. Yeah, we raised a nice amount of money. It was about making people of the North East aware of what the campaign is. And I feel like we've done that. I hope we've done that. I hope we've made more people aware. You can have those comfortable conversations. You can contact the foundation if you are struggling. We're not doctors, but we will signpost you to the right places. We will give you everything we've got to make you aware of what's going on in the North East. And we will talk to you. And that's the big thing. And that's the best thing I got out of the walk, was having conversations with people who would go, well, what is that on your T-shirt? What is that flag you're holding up? Or what is this? And you sort of like, that leads to that conversation. They go, oh, I've suffered with my mental health. And you have that 5 minutes conversation, and it's so giving. And that was the main thing for it, was to just make people aware that it's okay to have that conversation. But I wouldn't ever do it again. I will fundraise again, but nothing like that.
That was one of the next questions.
Yeah.
What was it as tough? Firstly, what was the time? Because if people have never seen it, what sort of time and things did you get? And did you think it was going to be as hard as it was going in, or was it easier or harder? Or
It was a lot harder than I bargained for, obviously. So we were averaging about 50 miles a day over the course. So we wanted to land back in Newcastle on the Friday. So I left Wembley Stadium Monday morning around 5:30, 6 a.m. And we wanted to be back at St James's Park on Friday evening. It didn't happen. We got back Saturday afternoon, which is still within that margin, but yeah, it was brutal. Like, I would never advise anyone to do it, because my mental health before that walk was strong. In the middle of that walk, it dropped off a cliff. The back end of that walk, my friend actually dropped out with 2 days to go because he twisted his ankle and couldn't recover. So I did the last full day on my own, and luckily I had people meet me on the Saturday, and that helped me come back through. But no, I wouldn't do it again. It was absolutely hideous. Like, the worst bit is your feet. It's the exhaustion in your feet. Like, I've got strong legs. I'm quite lucky. I've got strong legs, but they're still not recovered, and that was 3-4 weeks ago. My feet are going to take a while, and what I got from it was amazing. So the sense of self-worth, the completion, and because when you get to day 3, like, I just want to finish now. And the amount of times I was like, I'm going to quit, I'm done and dusted, this is it. And then I'd get up and I think, let me just give it till midday, let me just give it till 4 o'clock, let me just give it till 6 o'clock. And then you'd finish the day and you'd be like, right, I'm going to do that again. And it's putting the steps in place to get my mind right. But it was a ridiculous challenge, a near on impossible challenge that we managed to complete slightly longer than we wanted to. But for me, as long as the message has got out there, it's worth it. I can live with the pain of the physical side of it, just to try and support people with their mental side of their pain.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching it there. So sometimes it's not all about the big picture, it's small steps, kind of like what you've alluded to there. So you're working at the foundation as well. You're literally on here as soon as we finish doing a game of walking football. Now, for those that have never heard of walking football, what is it and what are the challenges compared to normal football?
So walking football is what it is. It's football at a walking pace. So it's a game that we play predominantly for the older generation, for them to get back into football, to improve their fitness and to get them back out in their communities. So we looked at the isolation side of things as well. So it's about getting people that might not necessarily have loads of friends or are isolated from people to come and have a kickabout with people, like-minded people. It's just a slower version of football with a few different rules. So if you play 5-a-side, obviously you'll know about head height rules. We play that rule in walking football. We also played you're not allowed to challenge from behind. You're not allowed to challenge from the side. So any challenges have to be front facing, and we do no physical contact. Obviously, where we are playing with the older generation, you don't want shoulder to shoulder. You can't be putting your body in the way. The challenges around it, if you play it, so we will play alongside sometimes. It's switching your normal football brain off into playing that side of the game. So where you might run onto a through ball or play a quicker through ball for someone to run onto, you've got to learn not to. You need to learn how to control that ball. You need to learn how to shoot properly by keeping it low and making sure that pass is hitting its target spot on and making sure you're marking the space, because obviously you can't chase anyone. So you need to make sure you're aware of where you're going, what you're doing and how you're doing. You can take that into proper football. So now I find my game is slightly improved, where I'll look at the space and think I need to be there. But I can run there now because I'm playing proper football, whereas in walking football I could wander over. So you're learning your area more, I find, and you're learning how to play a pass more direct and quicker and better, rather than a through ball you might slice that they might luckily get on the end of. You're having to work out how to play the ball exactly. And I feel like that improves your game as a younger person. But for the older generation, it's just the joy. They're coming here and they're scoring goals. They're still wheeling off like Alan Shearer. And it's the passion. Like, we run a league and it's so competitive. And they want to win the league, but they might be 50, 60, 70 years old, but they still want that buzz. And they get it. They absolutely love it. Like, we have sessions all over the northeast where we'll go and attend and just put on a football session. And the joy that you get from seeing them enjoying it, and you still get the feistiness, you still get the arguments, you still get the battles, but it's just watching them enjoy it. And that's what we get out of it as coaches in particular. But learning the game is difficult. But if people want to get involved, come to the foundation, have a go and see what it's about, because it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you're working with the foundation. We're going to do a whole interview and piece on that with the foundation that people can check, but is there anything you specifically want to mention about them?
So the foundation are a family. They're absolutely incredible. For me, as a southerner that come up north and fell into the foundation by accident, they've accepted me with open arms, and sort of they've helped guide my journey. And I know I've said it a lot, but there's a lot of people within this foundation that helped save my life and put me on the right path and gave me the opportunities that I've now have. I've been very blessed in which I've won a couple of awards via the foundation. I won the United as One award last year. I won a Be a Game Changer Ambassador award. And it's just thankful from me for letting them be letting me be part of this. So the Be a Game Changer campaign is sort of what resonated with me the most, is that sort of came out as I started my journey, and to counterbalance that, I shared my story, and for some reason it just took off, and it's resonated with a lot of people. And for me, it's just me, but if that can help someone. But the foundation took it and they supported me, and they've turned it into this amazing journey that I'm currently on, where they've supported what I want to do. And I'm blessed that I now work for them, and I can come and play football and deliver the campaign and help others. That's what the foundation do. They're a massive part of this city, and the people that are attached to it are just incredible. And I know it's easy to say that because they're your colleagues, but they are. The different factors, every single part of this foundation has got colleagues that just are so passionate and so in love with what they do. And doing it for the badge helps so many people. I'm a fan working for my club, and I think that resonates with a lot of staff that work here. It is your club, and they're supporting you. And on a personal journey like I've been through, to have that level of support from your club is incredible. I've been lucky enough that I've met the owners, and they encourage me to do what I'm doing now. And it's just, I fell in love with this city at a young age, and it just continues to blossom. And that is from the foundation and the club and the people. And some of my best friends work for the foundation, and they weren't my friends before I moved off here, and now they're an integral part of my life. And it's just a fantastic place to be.
And as a Newcastle fan, if I touch on this very quickly, you said you've been a season ticket holder for 18 years. A lot of change in the last 12, 18 months. What do you see personally the club going to?
I just want success, but not what people think in the media. For us, success is a team that goes out and gives 100% and plays for us. We don't want charlatans, we don't want selfishness, we just want a team that competes. We haven't had that, and now we look like we're getting it. For me, success breeds incorporating the fans, letting us be a part of the journey, keeping the club's cause. We're a family club, we've got the best fans in the world. And I'm saying that as a fan, but as someone, I'm an outsider really. I'm from down south, so I've seen it secondhand as well. These fans deserve everything we're getting, and hopefully that can lead to a cup one day. I mean, I'll take anything, the Carabao Cup, the Intertoto Cup, if that was it, any trophy, pre-season trophies, anything. I just want to see us be competitive and challenge, because that's all it's ever been about for us. It's not about signing Mbappe, signing Haaland. It's about getting players in that want to play for this team and take us forward. And that is all I want. I don't want to go and be bored. I want to be entertained like we used to be, and have a go.
Right, absolutely perfect. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story, and an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.